African elephants. So here I put everything on my diagram, just a large picture of it before I go about it and break it up. So here we have the biodiversity side. I matched mine with degradation and fragmentation. So with degradation, it's with urbanization expanding, it could cause a lot more pollution in the land, removing certain terrains and trees, hot and toxic air is being brought up from these new buildings, and it's all in the areas that the elephants do roam, so it's not just bad for them, it's also bad for the other animals. But these elephants are the ones who move things out of the way and create water holes for people, well, like other animals, so it's hard for them with all this pollution and the way to go about being able to keep the system running. And with fragmentation, with more urbanization comes more roads. This blocks and separates elephants from their herds, and it separates them from the bigger areas where they help maintain the environment for the other animals. So this goes back to not being able to create enough water holes for everybody, or if they're not in the big area where they used to, they just trap themselves with no water hole for themselves. And even just like if they get separated by a road, most animals are smart enough to know they're not going to cross over, and they know that they're herd animals. They're supposed to be in a bigger group together, so this hurts them. It causes depression. And when animals get depressed, they just like people, we slowly start decreasing in our health. And that's also why elephants are dying, because the fragmentation is hurting their mental health just as much. And so here I have habitat loss and air pollution. So with habitat loss, due to urbanizations, elephants are running out of space to help create walkways and water holes for other animals, which affects the environment and how they all thrive. With them taking the land from elephants, it is also causing them to be separated from their herds, which causes depression. So this once again goes back to the biodiversity, losing such a big area where they were able to graze and getting separated from each other, having to continuously restart the whole process over and over. It affects the elephants, but it also blocks the whole system they have for the other animals to help them strive. And with air pollution, this once again goes back to biodiversity loss. With elephants grazing on all the fruit and leaves on trees, the trees would not get nearly as much sun and water, which, if these trees cannot grow taller, it cannot help control the carbon in the air. So when these new buildings are coming around, like we're putting all this toxic stuff into the air as it is, but with also destroying the trees, these elephants can't help keep the carbon levels stable enough for everybody. And now we have the environmental factors, so I decided to go with water, terrain, and temperature. So for water, these are just kind of like what the elephants do for the environment. And so with water, elephants are the ones who create the water holes for the other animals, and with expanding in the drought, it makes it harder. And then with the terrains, elephants create the pathways for other animals. They move trees, they help keep solid paths for the other animals so it's not a big mess. And temperatures, with it being hot, the drought occurring, and the new buildings releasing hot air and toxic air, it makes it harder for the animals to strive and elephants to keep up with the work they do to the environment. Just like if you are working outside on a super hot day, like right by construction and all that filthy air is flying in the air, it's bad for you. It's harder for you to work that way. Um, these are like the key factors of what elephants do for everyone else in the town and other animals. They help keep things moving smoothly and actually help. They're there to help the other animals majority. And so what we as humans we can impact is we can train others how we can properly expand without taking space from the African elephants. There actually is a lot of people getting trained on like how to properly farm without going past the exceeded limit or to over farm, and they're trying to get like that training pushed on forward to buildings and stuff too, so we can stop moving into so much space of the elephants. What else we do is we continue to create community conservatives to help protect the lands for the elephant. What they've been doing right now to help keep them from going extinct is they'll buy out a certain amount of land, and hopefully they try to keep it open so nothing can be built there, and they keep expanding it, hoping that one day it'll be a safe size for the elephants until we as people can help and figure out new ways that we can build but not destroy the animals' land because they're also helping us. And another thing we do is we've been creating more training for rangers. There's a ton more training classes how to become an actual ranger for sitting outside with the animals, making sure that people are following the rules, nobody's hunting them down, nobody's like throwing trash everywhere, nor is like expanding into their area. So we are doing a decent amount, but we could push it further and keep adding on to these things to help save the biodiversity loss we have because of these animals about to go to extinct. And here are my sources. And